If you're in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area and need something great and fun to do, why not stop in to Pinball PA? Located in Aliquippa, just 10 minutes from the Pittsburgh airport, there's over 420 games on the floor. 200 some pinball machines, 200 some of your favorite video games. That's Donkey Kong, Asteroid, Space Invaders. You name it, it's there. So check it out, Pinball PA. Go online and see what all is going on there at pinballpa.com. Once again, pinballpa.com. Pinball PA, it's where the action is. It is CHRIS Akin Presents right here on chrisakin.net and Heavy Metal Television. And joining me today to talk about an album that, I'm going to be honest, I never thought I was going to see. I thought this band had called it a day, but they have not. They are back, and they have put out arguably the best release they have done to date. The new release is called EYES of Oblivion. It's out on April 1st. It is the band The Hellacopters. And joining me to talk about it is the vocalist and the guitarist. It is Mr. Nicke Andersson. Nick, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Well, man, like I said, it is a very pleasant surprise that you are back and recording. I mean, I had seen that you were doing some shows, 4 or 5 years ago, but I didn't hear that there was new music being recorded and that you had gone that far bringing it back. So why don't we start there and maybe tell us a little bit about, what led you to bringing the Hellacopters back after, 15 years away?
Well, we broke up in 2008 for quite a few reasons, but I thought there and then that you break up and that's it. Otherwise, you take a break or,
Sure.
So that's what we did. And I think here in Sweden, it took about a year and they asked us for a reunion show. And I was thinking, isn't that ridiculous? We just broke up, let us be broken up here.
Right.
And we kept getting offers. And then I guess time passed and, water under the bridge. Older, slightly wiser, maybe.
Right.
And then someone mentioned, I don't even remember which order of and things happened, but I think someone mentioned that, oh, hey, next year there's going to be 20 years since you put out the first album.
Okay.
So then we said, well, let's try that. The offer was extremely good. Hard to say no to, but it was also very important for me and everyone else that if we're going to do this, it has to be at least as good as it was before we broke up, but
Sure.
preferably better. And it's being a music fan, that's kind of tricky.
Right, sure.
I do see myself as a music fan before I see myself as a musician. So, you're always kind of disappointed when you see reunions, aren't you?
Yeah, that is true.
So we thought we have to work hard to make this work, and we put a lot of work into it. And then when we did in 2016 for that one show in Sweden, it was kind of mind-blowing to see how much people seem to have missed us.
Sure.
And that was it was a really touching feeling,
Right.
Because that made us like, wow, maybe we should play some more. So we kind of took it one day at a time and, see how, if it still felt good. And it did. And we played some more shows. And then we started talking about, if we're going to do this, are we going to be a nostalgia act? Because the songs are getting older by the day. And so then somewhere, the year after, maybe we started talking about, should we perhaps record a new album? So we started thinking about it, and we met up for sessions here and there, but we didn't make an announcement because we wanted to work in private, in peace,
Sure.
So, and then now we're here.
Sure, definitely. Well, when you did get back to writing and recording, a lot of times when bands do that after a long time away, you know, everybody changes. You go off, you do other things, you record other music, you live life differently. A lot of times it's hard to get back together and find that old chemistry that you had previously. Was it like that for you, or did it come together pretty much right away?
I think musically it felt pretty good. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about playing with together with people, is that sometimes it's just the you know, the people playing together that makes the band. You know, it doesn't matter if you write songs the same as I did, you know, whatever. But when you play it together as a band, that's when the sound comes to life, kind of thing. And that's kind of how we felt. And I mean, obviously, since I write most of the songs, the things change in that department too. But since we sound like the Hellacopters together, that's what kept it similar or whatever. Because I was a little bit worried about that. I almost felt a little bit of a pressure thing.
Sure. Again,
being a music fan, you know, oh, what are people going to think? Because I never think about that.
Right.
I did that for the first time in my life, and that feeling I didn't like. So, so eventually I could put that aside and just focus on us, you know.
Sure. Well, you did a great job with it. The new record, EYES of Oblivion, to me, as a fan, it not only feels like the old Hellacopters sound, but it feels like the really old Hellacopters sound. It really reminds me a lot of, I don't know, like Paying the Dues as an example, you know, in that era of the band, or even a little later, like Grace of God. It does. I'll just tell you straight up, I didn't love Rock and Roll Is Dead. I thought that was kind of where you guys were. It felt like you might have been treading water just a little bit at that point. And this does not feel like. This is full of energy. It's full of life. It's very vibrant. And it really feels like you got all of the juice back. So for you, were these songs that were new and fresh, or did you have some of these that were maybe not full songs, but ideas? And how did they all come together?
I think I would say about half of the songs are actually at least 10 years old.
Okay.
Because when we got together to try stuff out, I said, well, I do write quite a bit of songs, and I have a little stash of them.
Sure.
It says, let's, you know, if you guys want to check what I have already, if you want to check those out. And so that's what we started with. I think, yeah, maybe around 5 of the songs on the album are around 10 years old. So we started with that. And then, like I said, it sounded like us when we played them together. And that kept, you know, that got me to write new songs.
Right.
So I think, the last song I wrote for the album was the opening track, which was great because we didn't have an opening track. I think it's very important to have a suitable opening track. So that felt good.
Sure. Now for you, how long did it take once you guys started working together before you felt like everything was back where it needed to be? Was it instant? I mean, did you get in the studio that first time and just start jamming and it felt right, or did you guys kind of have to really work on, no, play it this way and you play it that way, or was it just all organic?
I think I would say more organic than the opposite.
Okay.
Of course, it's not like we're not Dream Theater, you know. We're not
right.
that good at playing. We're still learning our instruments, you know. So we're not that fast. But no, it wasn't. I don't think it was that difficult. You know, of course we have to, you know, practice and learn the songs and everything. I know it's only 3 chords, sometimes 4, but still, they have to be right, you know.
Sure.
And no, I think that was the easy part. I think that the crappy part of the recording process is that everyone's so busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to have one session, and then we have to have a gap for 3 months before the next session.
Right.
I think it took us from day one to the last day, it took us almost 3 years.
Wow.
I mean, effective studio time was probably 2 or 3 weeks if you just add up the hours. But it was, and that I will never do again, because that's
Right.
not how you make a record, in my opinion. But we this time we had to do it that way.
Sure. Was that in part due to the pandemic and you just couldn't get together?
Well, I don't know if you heard, but Sweden had a kind of a different approach to lockdowns and restrictions. And I mean, whether that was good or bad, it's for maybe another show. But
Right.
but so we could actually see each other,
Oh, okay.
which is great, of course. But it's also, I'm not so sure if that was the best thing to do. But that's how it was over here. So we did get to see each other, but we still didn't see each other enough. So
Right.
it took a long time, you know.
Sure. Certainly. Well, one thing that you did that you guys have done most of your careers, you worked with Chips Kisby to produce Once Again. And it almost seems to me like he's kind of almost like another member of the band, because you've worked with them for a lot of records. You know, what did he add this time, and what is it about him that makes you so willing to rely on him to guide you with your recording?
It is funny because the first time we recorded with him was in 2000 for High Visibility. And I remember back then, you know, being young and a little cocky, and I was like, I didn't understand some of his input, which I totally do now. Sure. I mean, there was parts of one song where he asked us, so why does this riff go here for 8 bars? And the answer was like, because it's cool. And then he was like, take it off.
Right.
Why? You know, it's
right.
almost a little hurt, you know. But I think I learned pretty fast from him what parts to, you know, get rid of. Because, I mean, I think we both me and him, think about the songs. The essence of the song should be there. The rest is just, you know, if you want to do. I mean, I love southern rock and extremely lengthy guitar solos, but that works live, not on a record.
Right.
So I kind of learned that. So I think he actually produced us less and less by the albums, because I was kind of self-producing.
Sure.
So, but it's also, he's really good. He's never overly enthusiastic, which is funny because that keeps your feet on the ground.
Right.
He's never gonna tell you, "Hey, man, that was awesome." He has never said that, but he has always also never said it sucks.
Right.
And he's very good at keeping things together. I'm a little, you know, I'm not so good at that. You know, he keeps notes and of everything, and he knows what's missing, and you know, so he's really good at that. But I mean, for this album, I co-produced it with him.
Okay.
It was after a while, I was like, I can't take the back seat here because I'm looking at the kick drum, and that kick drum is mic'd very strange to me.
Okay. Right. Certainly, man. Well, Nick, one of the things that I think has always been one of the best aspects of your releases, of your albums, is that none of them are overly long. You know, I think too many musicians try to pack 90 or 80 minutes into a release. And I think, you know, almost universally that gets boring by the end of a release. I love the fact that you kind of do more concise records, and certainly Eyes of Oblivion is that, was it 35 minutes or something, which is the perfect length. How important is that for you, not to write really long songs or really long records, but to kind of just come in, make your noise, and get out?
I think it's probably similar to you. I mean, I'm just guessing what you grew up with, but your favorite records are probably not over 40 minutes.
Right. Very true.
I'm just guessing here, but it doesn't matter if you like Judas Priest or the Ramones. They're not going to be never over 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen. And there's something I like with 10 songs. Right. 5 songs on each side. I mean, even today, I think it's even more important because people can't focus today.
True.
There's so much information going on. So I say if you put an album out and you have 16 songs that spans for like 90 minutes, like you said, how on earth are you going to keep people's focus for that long? And I like a short record because if I really like it, I'll play it again.
Right, exactly. You just flip it back over and go one more time. Exactly.
And hopefully that doesn't bother you. And and if it doesn't, that means it's a good record.
Sure.
So I do like short. Well, I don't even call it short. It's other people calling it
sure.
short. Who compares it to, didn't it all start with the CD in the like late 80s, early 90s? The album got so long that I think I have albums at home that I haven't heard the last songs on them.
Sure. No, you're right. No, you're right. And, you mentioned Dream Theater before. Your albums are like the length of one Dream Theater song, which is about as much as you could take of either, right?
But, I'm not gonna. It's not my cup of tea. But sure. I'm not saying that one thing is right or wrong. But for me, I like this better.
Absolutely, man. Well, Nick, obviously, man, the big news for you guys right now is the inclusion of the song By the Grace of God in HBO's Peacemaker show, and what a surprise, I guess, because normally when bands get picked to be in these kind of movies or productions, it's almost always the big giants. It's always the Metallicas or the guys that sold 10 zillion records back in the 80s, the Rats or Motley Crue or whatever. Perfect the way Peacemaker did it, not only with your song, but with several of the bands, like Y&T is featured in it, which is like, okay, you had to be a little deeper of a music fan to get who Y&T was or to get who the Hellacopters are. So talk about that for you guys, man. How did you guys get included in it, and were you surprised that you did get into such a high budget, production?
Well, the thing is, I still haven't seen it. I didn't actually. Well, here's when it aired. Then we heard about it.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, okay, what was this? I don't remember this. And then our manager told us, you actually said yes to this, but that must have been like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Sometimes how long it takes. So I had totally forgotten that we said okay to it. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. And obviously I thought some of the other bands were very funny. No, so I was a little bit surprised because I had totally forgotten about it. And I think when they asked me, because I was the main songwriter of the song, I think what the question I got, they're doing this comic thing. And I was like, okay, it's like a superhero thing. Yeah, all right, that sounds good. I think that's how I said it. And then it turned out to be something that people really enjoy. I think I have to check it out.
Sure, absolutely, man. Well, moving back to the current record, EYES of Oblivion, which once again comes out on April 1st. I know the next single that is going to be released is So Sorry I Could Die, which is, to me, is the lone curveball on the record, which is also my favorite record or my favorite song on the record.
Oh, thank you.
It's like the lone time that really feels different, really, from almost anything that you've done. So talk about that song, man. Because it really, at least to me, it feels very different than most of your catalog.
Well, I think we've always, not always, but we have for most of the albums, we've tried something that's slightly different to what we're used to. I think on your favorite record, Rock and Roll Is Dead. No, but then on that one we had a song called Leave It Alone, which was quite different to the others. And then also on By the Grace of God, we had a song called Rainy Days Revisited, which was also quite maybe a little bit different. So I think this song is the different one on this one.
Okay.
I think when I wrote it, I just wanted to see if I could write. I wanted some American rhythm and blues from the 60s, that's but filtered through this Swedes.
Right.
That was kind of the idea of it, and see if it. And then when I showed it to the other guys, and I think I said that here's a song that could work, but it could also not work. So let's just see what happens. And we thought it worked. So we'll see. But it's probably going to be one of those songs that either you like it or you not so much.
Sure. Do you think it'll become a live staple? You think you'll play that one live a lot?
I think it would be good, especially if you play a little longer set. It could be a good, like, breather.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't breathe so much towards the end of it, but it's still pretty full on. I wouldn't even call it a ballad, but
sure.
But maybe compared to some of the other songs.
Right. Certainly. Well, Nick, the other thing that I noticed on your website and I was curious about is I saw the Riot on the Rocks whiskey. And, everybody's going out and branding, but nothing could be more perfect for the Hellacopters brand than whiskey, I think, other than an actual helicopter. So, talk about the whiskey, man. What made you guys get into that business?
I think it was also through our friend and manager, Patrick. I mean, like you said, everyone is doing something. I mean, doesn't everyone have a beard these days?
Right.
And, so when he said, I have this company that are very interested in doing something together with you. And they have this thing, which is a cross between bourbon and American bourbon and Scotch whiskey.
Right.
Which on paper, that looks like the worst idea, But then they had a bottle of it that we could have a little taste of. So we did. And I mean, I'm no expert. It's, I just pour some cola in it and I'll
right.
No, but I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I'm not a connoisseur at all, but I thought it was all right. And the people who tried it thought it was pretty good. So we just said, let's make it look nice and sure. I mean, it's still it's not like making a record. I would never say that, but I guess it doesn't hurt.
Sure.
I mean, I have some bottles of with branded bottles with bands I like. So that's
sure.
If Lemmy can do it, then maybe we can try it too.
Exactly, no question. Well, Nick, for the Hellacopters, you obviously are going to have this release out in another month, EYES of Oblivion. So what are the touring plans? Do you have touring set up for the year, or is it still the world figuring out the world, or what?
Oh, yeah, right. At the moment, the world just got worse, but I thought we just almost kicked the pandemic, but then this shit happened.
Right, exactly.
But so who knows? But the hopefully, if missiles doesn't start flying, we could play some festivals during the summer.
Okay.
And there was actually a little talk about going over to the States in August already, which I'm keeping my fingers crossed for. But I mean, like you said, who knows these days?
Right.
But you can hope.
Yeah, we can hope, and it literally changes minute to minute. So I guess you won't know until right when it's about time to go, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that sounded like a good plan. So we'll see if that happens. If not in August, then not too soon after that, I hope.
Sure. Now, last thing, Nick, over here, well, at least the way I understand it, and again, this is me being here only, so I understand that the way the Hellacopters are perceived in Sweden is very much the same way the Foo Fighters are here in the United States, like just a good, solid rock and roll band, not reinventing the wheel, because there's really no need to reinvent the wheel. It's just good, clean rock and roll. For you, do you like that comparison? And B, why do you think that it is that the Hellacopters have not broken out bigger internationally outside of Europe?
Oh, there's so many reasons for that. I think I mean, to be realistic, in order to break America, you have to literally live there, touring.
True.
Because it's such a big country, and that's how you break America. You tour there. And if you do that, then you can't tour over here. So it's a little
right
part. And I don't know. I'm not sure if I can't speak for the other guys, but maybe we're also not rock star material. I have no idea. You know, it's also a lot of luck.
Sure.
It's obviously hard work. Like I said, touring there a lot. There's so many reasons, but at the same time, there's been worse bands hitting it big.
True. Very true.
You have to also remember that is also not the reason we're doing this. Although, of course, nobody would mind that.
Sure.
But it has to. I think also, I think this band is not willing to make any sacrifices whatsoever career-wise, and yeah, I think that's probably one reason too. It's like if I don't feel like doing anything, then I just won't do it.
Right.
And that doesn't fly well in the music industry.
No, definitely doesn't these days, man. Well, I'll tell you what does fly well, Nick, is this brand new release from the Hellacopters. It's called EYES of Oblivion. It is out April 1st. It is fantastic. I certainly recommend everybody check it out. And Nick, thank you so much for joining me here on Chris Akin Presents.
It's been a pleasure.